Good morning, everyone, and welcome. You have tuned in to Sister's Heart, where we stream live on IntellectualRadio.com. That is www.intellectualradio.com. Also, iHeartRadio and Facebook Live. Listen, I am your host. I'm your girl. I'm your sister. I am Kimby, and I am live in the studio on this beautiful first Sunday in March. It is a good day. It's an amazing day. And we are all friends here, you all. And listen, I wore the pearls. I may have to clutch the pearl. I told my Facebook friends I may have to clutch my pearls because we make no apologies by what we talk about, what we share here at Sister's Heart, because it's all about helping someone, right? And if we are not trying to truly help someone, I said this before, right? Watch this. We can't be friends. We cannot be friends. Somebody needs to hear a word. Somebody needs to have a breakthrough. Somebody needs to hear whatever it is that is pertaining to their life right now and at this point in time. That's going to help them. And we have heard it before. When God shows up, God will show out. And that's a true statement. I'm not trying to take away from that. But how many of us know, and if you're my friend on Facebook, you already know where we're going. The reality of it is no, when you show up, God will show out. When you show up. I just recently had a tea at my house on Tuesday, Talk Tuesday, and we had some good conversation. It was a group of lovely women, all different ages and backgrounds, and we were just talking about how we need to to show up for ourselves. So often we're waiting for someone to do something. We're waiting for someone to lend a hand. We're waiting for someone to speak a word. We're waiting for someone, to support us. We're waiting for someone to encourage us, and all of that is good. But God has empowered us, right? That's given the authority. God has empowered us from the moment he created us. We have been empowered to go above and beyond with what it is that he has given us to do by way of our purpose. Now there comes a time when we have to be emboldened. We talked about that a few weeks ago. It's not enough to just be empowered, but you have to be emboldened. So now we have to move to a level of emboldened. And what does that mean? Basically, what I'm telling you is to just be bold. Yes, I understand when God shows up that he's going to show out. But what about when I show up? The God inside of me is going to show out. Have you ever just walked into a room and the atmosphere shifted? Have you ever walked into a room? And I know I've had this happen to me. Have you ever just walked into a room and you may not even been on your having your best day, but you walked into a room and all eyes fell on you, and you don't even know why, but it was just something about you that when you showed up, God showed out. The glory of God that's inside of us shows up. We love to say, and we hear it, the greater is in he that is in me than he that is in the world. Listen, if the greater is inside of you, when you show up, because that's all you have to do. When you show up, then things have got to change in your favor. When you show up to fight, and I'm not talking about a physical fight, I'm talking about spiritual warfare. Someone's coming against your energy, someone's coming against your peace, someone's coming against your finances. When you decide to show up, we're not throwing pity parties. No, we're not throwing pity parties in 2019. But this year, we have decided that when we show up, that God was going to show out, because oftentimes we miss the opportunity that we offer to God to show forth his glory because we don't show up. Did you catch that? Oftentimes we miss the opportunity for God to show forth his glory because we don't show up. We're sitting back on the sidelines. And I like to use the children of Israel as an example. When Goliath came against all of Israel, all of the men, all of the warriors, all of the fighters, they were down there. They were at the field, and nobody wanted to show up to fight Goliath. They were there, but they didn't show up for the fight. And it wasn't until David showed up. Now, understand this: God was still God. Even when the children of Israel did not respond to the challenge, he was still God when nobody showed up. right? We can all concede to that. But it wasn't until David showed up that God showed out. You didn't catch it. It wasn't until David showed up. So we missed the opportunity to show up on our own behalf. I was talking to a young lady earlier this morning, and she was talking about what people hadn't done for her. Looking for a promotion at work, but hadn't yet applied for the promotion because she was waiting for them to come to her. And my question to her is, why are you waiting for them to come to you? If you know that a position is open at your job and you know that you have done the work, you have done the necessary, you have reached the necessary qualifications, you have accomplished these things, then why would you not apply? Why would you wait for someone to feed you? Why would you wait for someone to feed you? I'm not waiting for someone to give me their leftovers from the table. I'm not waiting for someone to give me the man that they no longer want. I'm not waiting for someone to give me my breakthrough. I'm not waiting for someone to give me my blessing. No, I'm going to show up, and I'm going to show up every day that I have an opportunity to show up. And it makes me no difference if you don't like it. It really makes me no difference if you don't like me, because understand something. What God has for me, watch this, what God has for me is for me, but I got to show up in order to get it. I have to show up in order to receive it. And we can't sit around and wait. Watch, the battle could have been given to anybody. God was just needing and looking for someone brave enough to go to the fight. And it wasn't until David, a young boy, showed up for, really, he wasn't there to fight, but he just showed up to handle some business. And when he heard about what was going on, when he heard about what he could receive if he defeats him, guess what? He knew that what was inside of him, the God that he served, was able to give him that victory. That's that part of God showing out. But you first have to show up. And we fell on so many different levels to receive the greatness, the goodness of God. We failed to receive all of the glory of God. You know, so many of us right now, we're just half full. We have not even begun to even taste, even to begin to see. As the word says, eyes have not seen and ears haven't heard, neither have it entered into the hearts of man what God has in store for you. Don't you know that God has greater waiting for you, but he's waiting for you to show up? Often we say that we're waiting on God. No, 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 you're not. You are not waiting on God. God is waiting on you. And I know the scripture, it says, they that wait on the Lord. I get that, right? Shall renew their strength, right? I get that. But some of you right now, you don't need your strength to be renewed. Right now, you just need to make a move. You need to make a decision. You need to decide, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take this job out of the state. You need to decide, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move forth. Man, I'm going to go forth. I'm going to move forth with this woman because I know that she's carrying my favor and I want more from God. I'm going to make that decision. So often we fail to make the decision. We fail to move because we lack the confidence. We lack the boldness. We don't show up. But I'm challenging you on today. You need to show up. God himself, listen to this. And I want you to hear this, and you can go back to the word. God himself, when the children of Israel's backs was up against the wall, you had Pharaoh behind them, and you had the Red Sea in front of them. And Moses began to cry out to God. The people were crying out to Moses, and Moses was crying out to God. Watch what God said. God himself spoke, and he said, "Why are you crying out to me?" That's what God said. Why are you crying out to me? He said, you stretch forth your rod and you part the Red Sea. You do it. That's you showing up. God said, I need you to trust me. The just shall live by faith. I need you to trust me. I need you to trust what I've placed inside of you. The just shall live. I need you to know that I am God. I need you to know that I am the Lord thy God that healeth thee. The just shall live. Note I said live, not die, by faith. I need you to show up. And when you show up and you activate, that's the word, when you activate your faith, when you activate your faith and disconnect from your doubt, when you disconnect from your lack of confidence, when you disconnect from wrong energy, when you disconnect from wrong relationships, when you show up for you, it's no longer about who can do anything for you. No, it's about who can stop you. When you show up, it's no longer, I'm going to sit here and wait for the leftovers or the crumbs to fall from your table. No, it becomes about, you know what? God said he prepares a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Why should I have to eat the crumbs from anybody's table when the table has been prepared for me? Why should I have to do that? And I'm going to tell you right now, you don't have to. You don't have to, but it's going to be up to you. Are you willing to get up and are you willing to show up for the fight? Are you willing to show up for the interview, the job interview? Are you willing to show up for the relationship? Are you willing to show up for you? And if you're waiting around this year, if you're waiting around this year for things to change and you're not doing anything to make it change, you're not doing anything to make it better because you're quote unquote waiting on God, I want to tell you today that you're waiting right now. It just might be in vain. And I'm not talking to everybody because some of us have to wait. Some of us have been doing too much. But some of us right now just might be waiting in vain because God is looking to bless you in a place that you're not there. He has a door open for you. He says it. Behold, I open up a door that no man can close. He has a door open for you, and you're standing at the wrong door because you're afraid to move. You're standing literally right now in the wrong hallway because you're afraid to walk. You're afraid to go and see what God has for you. And you know what? We often get so caught up in, well, it didn't work for my sister. Well, it didn't work for my auntie. It didn't work for my mama. Just because it did not work for them does not mean that it's not going to work for you. Stop trying to take on someone else's failure and make their failure your story. Stop trying to take on someone else's lack and make their lack their lack. Just because they don't have does not mean that you can't have. Just because it looks like there's a generational curse coming through your bloodline. Don't you know that you can cut it off? You can destroy it at the root and say it stops here. It goes no further. You don't have to accept it. You don't have to. You don't have to conform to it. I love this scripture in the Bible, and it says, I will remain confident in this. In this, I will see the goodness of the Lord. And watch where it says, in the land of the living. You can have your real best life today. You can have your best. And I'm talking about your best. I'm not talking about being good. I'm talking about being great because good is an enemy of great. Too many of us figure we're good. Don't you know when a person says, I'm good? Realistically, with some people saying that I'm good really doesn't mean that they're good. That's an excuse to say, you know what, I'm really struggling. I'm really hurting. You want people to say I'm great. You want people to say I'm awesome. You want people to say, you know what, I'm fantastic. I tell when customers ask me at work, say, how you feeling? The first thing I say is how I'm looking. Wanda, how I'm looking. That's the first thing I say. How am I looking? Because guess what? When I go to work, I'm showing up. I'm showing up for Kim. So if I'm looking good, I'm looking fine. Baby, trust me, I'm fine, right? How am I? That's how I respond. And you got to get that disposition. You got to get that down in your spirit. How am I looking, right? Because I'm looking like a winner. I'm looking like I've already won, and I know that this is ahead of me and it's not going to be easy and people are not going to want me there and people are not going to like me, but I'm not concerned about them. I'm concerned about the ones that God had me connected to. And you have to be concerned about the people that God have you connected to. God has you. So many of us right now, we won't get connected to people because of who they're connected to. Did y'all catch that? We won't get connected to people because of who they're connected to. And here's the problem with that. Some folks are going to have to be just like Israel. Some folks, you're going to have to let them not physically die, but mentally, emotionally die off. Get them out of your circle. They're not there for the right reasons. And you know they're not there for the right reasons. Don't look at the number. Don't look at the quantity. Look at the quality. Don't look at the quantity, look at the quality of the people that are with you, because I guarantee you, you can do more with 300 than you ever will be able to do with 3,000 that mean you no good. You can do more with 2 than you will ever be able to do with 20 that mean you no good. If they are not marching at the same rhythm and moving at the and marching at the same drum and moving at the same rhythm, then guess what? They are holding you back. You need to let them go. And guess what? You need to disconnect from them because you got got someplace to be. You have got to show up for you. You know that your destiny is depending on this. You know that your children are depending on this. You know that your seed is depending on this. It is depending on you to show up so that God can show out. We are the light. Right? We are the light. Jesus is the light, but the light dwells in us. And the word says it comprehends, darkness comprehends not the light. Guess what? When you show up, something has got to change. When you show up, yokes are being destroyed. When you show up, chains are being broken off of people. But you got to show up. No longer will you sit in the back. No longer. Stop sitting in the back. Stop keeping your mouth shut. You know you got something to say. You know that there's a word that's inside of you. There's a sister that's hurting. There's a brother that's hurting. You're hurting. And we sit back and say, well, I'm just going to wait on God. Isn't that what we say? We say it just like that. Well, I'm just going to wait on God. No, I will remain confident in this. I will see. Guess what? In order for me to see it, I got to go. I'm looking. I'm looking. I'm showing up. I'm showing up because I want God to show out. I want him to be God. And I'm showing up at every party, whether I get an invitation to your party or not. If God says this is where I'm supposed to be, then that's where I'm going to go, because I know that whatever he has for me, it's going to be wherever he directs me. The steps of a good man or woman are ordered by God. And we have to start listening to that voice that's telling us, yes, go to the left. Yes, go to the right. I want you to just show up. You've marched around the mountain too long. It's long enough. It's time for you to move. You have to show up. You got to make it personal and say, I will show up. I'm not looking for a handout. I'm looking up for my help. I'm not looking for your prayers. I'm going to go to God myself. You can pray for me. Don't get me wrong. You can pray for me, but I'm going to go to God myself because I want a relationship with him. I want to be like Moses. I want to be able to stretch forth my rod. I want to be able to part the Red Sea. I said it before and I'll say it again. The just shall live. Live by faith. That doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy. But all it means is this. Guess what? I showed up to live. I didn't come here to die. I didn't come here to give up. I didn't come here to give in. I didn't come here to sell out. I didn't come here to be a hypocrite. I didn't come here to be nothing more than what God has created me to be. I've showed up so that God can show out. And if he shows out, that means I'm winning. If he shows out, that means I've won. If he shows out, that means I shall have. I want you to get it, you all. I want you to get it. And if you got people around you, I'm going to say this. If you've got people around you, and I'm talking about that negative energy, right? We can love them. We can love them, but love them from a distance. Stop waiting for people trying to decide if they're going to match your energy. When you're trying your best to be positive and all they're doing is giving you negative, they're trying to bring you to their level. Can you see that? When all you're doing, right? You talk to them, you're trying to be positive, you're giving them a good word, you're trying to encourage them, it's going to be okay. And all they want to do is give you negative. They are trying to have you match their energy, not match yours. And those are the ones, my friend, you're going to have to cut them off. Send their phones, send their calls straight to voicemail. Don't answer their text messages other than with the God bless you. I'm praying for you. Stay encouraged, because I got to show up. When David, you all know this is faith-based. When David went to the field where his brothers were at, they did not want him there. And they were accusing him. One of the brothers accused him, of being a show out, being a little nosy person, right? And this is what happens. Watch this. This is what happens because people don't want you where they know that God, in a place where God is going to bless you. So they began to, try to discourage him. And all David wanted to know was what's going on. And when he found out what was going on, right, there was Goliath down in the valley, and he was disrespecting the people of Israel, and he was disrespecting God himself. David told the people, fear not, I'll handle it. You got to be bold. Fear not. I got it. I showed up. I know. I'm not the savior, but there's something inside of me that I'm telling you is going to do something. I just believe that. And when David made a declaration, don't worry about it. I'm going to handle it. I'll take care of it. He began to brag and boast about God, right? This is how God is going to show out. This is what God is going to do. And David, the Bible says, David began to run. and he ran, you all. And here's the catch. David not only ran towards Goliath, but he threw the first hit, as they like to say. He threw the first hit, right? He swung first. You can't be afraid to swing first. You have got to be bold enough to say that I'm going to swing first. And on my first strike, I'm going to bring them down. Whatever it is that's up against me, that's keeping me from what I need, I'm going to bring it down, and I'm going to bring it down first. You cannot be afraid to swing first. And David swung first. David showed up. David showed up. And God showed out. God came through for David because of what David was believing from God. That's the position that we need to be in. God is going to show out for us, but we have to show up. It's not enough to be talking about I'm getting my credit in order. Well, what are you doing? If you're not doing anything, then you're not showing up. It's not enough to say, well, I'm thinking about getting married, but you ain't courting nobody. You're not serious about no relationship. You ain't even ready. You're not even right. You ain't even ready for a commitment. You ain't showed up. You got to get yourself prepared to show up so that God can show out. If you want his good, right? I told you that we got to be confident in this, that we will see the goodness of the Lord. How do we see it? We see it when we remain confident. Your confidence is your boldness. Don't be afraid to show up. And it doesn't matter who doesn't want you there. Show up anyway. Throw on your best outfit, do your hair, get your makeup, whatever it is. Women, men, brush your teeth, change your outfit. Don't have on the crusty shoes. Get yourself together. Whatever you got to do to show up and show up right, then that's what you do. You show up and you show up right. Right? You show up and you show up right. And I'm talking about just your heart position, your heart posture. Show up right, and God will show out. Listen, that's it. I'm done for the day. I got a lot of things that I got to do after this. I love you all, and it doesn't take all day to give you a word. And I hope that that word resonates with you. When you show up, it's a decision, you all. It's all it is. You just have to decide. You have to say, if we're talking about, and I said this on Tuesday at my table talk Tuesday. If you are talking about the greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world, if this is what we say, and you don't believe in yourself, then you really don't believe in he that is in you. Because if the greater is inside of you, you didn't catch that. If the greater is inside of you, then you yourself, by what's inside of you, is great. And if you don't believe in your greatness, how can you ever believe in the greatness inside of you? That's trying to love somebody when you don't love yourself. You didn't catch that. You'll catch it next week. That's trying to love somebody when you don't love yourself. If the greater is inside of you that you say you believe in, and you don't believe in you, then you are contradicting yourself. You are contradicting the word that you believe. If the greater is inside of you, it's inside of you, just needs to be activated every day. Every day, show up. Things are not going right, show up anyway. You don't have any money, show up anyway. People are talking about you, saying you're acting funny, show up anyway. Show up. Show up, because guess what? When you show up, God is going to show out, because he's got something for you. He's got something for you in that place that people don't want you to be. He's got something for you waiting. It's a blessing with your name on it, literally. But you have to show up and look past everybody that is against you. Because if they're against you, you are in a great position, because God says, I'm more than the world against you. Ha! If they're against you, you are standing in a perfect place, because God says, I'm more than the world against you. So I like those numbers. The more y'all against me, guess what? The more that's for me. All they're doing is elevating your more. That's all people are doing when they're against you, is elevating your more. Go in God with that thought. When you show up, whatever it is, if it's your business, show up. If you work for somebody, you're not an entrepreneur, but you work for yourself, you work for somebody else, show up. Stop complaining. Show up. Show people what's inside of you. Show them why. Show them the why, because the why is your why. So why should I believe in you if you don't believe in your why? You don't even have a why. Show up. Show up and let God show out. I love you all. Listen, I'm your girl. I'm your sister. I'm your friend. I'm Kim. I'm Kim B. And it has truly been a blessing to be in the studio this morning. There's my music. When the beat drop, you all know I love my song. Listen, you all, we are going into our fourth year here. We started this journey in August 2015. I remember it well. It was August 23rd to be exact. And I have just been so thankful for what God has done, the people that I've had an opportunity to meet, the supporters, the prayers, all of that stuff. You guys has been afforded to me, and it's because I made a decision one day. It was a decision. I woke up with it and I showed up and I called a man by the name of Earl. That's all it was, you all. I showed up. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how I was going to look. I didn't know what I was going to say, but I just showed up. And that's what God is looking for. He's looking for people that are willing to show up. So I love you. I'm praying for you. And I want you to be encouraged that God is there. He's already there. The end from the beginning was already told. He's already there. He's just looking for us to be bold. He's looking for us to be brave. You don't have to be strong. You don't even need all the answers. You don't need to know all of the ins and the outs of it. Just show up and be bold. Be driven. Be driven by what you know that God can do. That's your confidence. That's your level of confidence. I love you all. Stay prayerful. This is a shout out to Elder Paul Evans. I absolutely love you. Thank you. To my brother Gerald, I see that you're on Norwood. I love you. Definitely, you keep going. And my sister, my siblings, start calling y'all by name. It's a bunch of them, you all. But I love you all as well. Wanda, Cindy, Mike, CJ, Franklin, Terry, Richard, Matt. Did I forget anybody? I don't even think I don't know. It's so many. But I love you all as well. My siblings. Oh yeah, Yvonne. I love you all. And you all stay blessed, stay encouraged. And until next week, keep me in your prayers. And I want you to be bold. Love you all. Stay blessed. You got to pray every day.